making hard choices and your comfort zone. That's what I want to talk about today. You will, as you go through this acquisition journey, have to make a lot of choices. A lot of those choices are going to be hard choices to make, and that brings in comfort zone. Now, today, as I record this, is February 2nd. It is my 71st birthday. That's a little outside my comfort zone, but what am I going to do about it? Yesterday, I was talking to my mentor through emails. We talked about why people are successful, why people aren't more successful, what are the traits that separate the two. And I also had a discussion with my most successful mentee, and we talked about the problems he's having, the successes he's having, and how to navigate those. But I wanted to give you a couple examples of comfort zone and decisions and how they affect success or failure. So I got an email from a mentee. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I had a deal in Georgia under contract and the seller backed out at the last hour. The seller thought he was going to back out scot-free, but I informed him that he would be paying attorney's fees as well as our agreed upon break fee because I had been mobilizing our law firm immediately. To make a long story short, the seller came to his senses and we received our break fee. Now, we are not in the business of collecting break fees, but a lot of people are afraid to ask for a break fee. Well, I don't want to do that. They'll say I have to pay a break fee too, and how am I going to enforce it? I'm going to have to litigate it, and blah, blah, blah. So the reason for, in this case, a break fee is really only two. One, if you say you're going to sell your business and you decide at the last moment, like this, that you're not going to sell it or you're going to sell it to somebody else. In those cases, maybe you got a better offer. In those cases, yes, you are going to pay the fees and maybe a pain in the ass fee, break fee on top of it, for the time you spent, the board spent, assuming that this person's word was good. And so if he never asked, he would never have gotten a break fee. Never ask, never get. Somebody said that 1,000 times, and you're listening to him right now. So that was certainly one of them. The other thing is that a lot of these are just going to be hard choices for you. Maybe you've never fired somebody before. Maybe you've never reprimanded somebody before. Maybe you've never talked about performance before. And someone has to have a tough discussion on why they're not doing the job the way they should. So just understand that most of what you do will be outside your comfort zone at first. And after a while, you'll get used to it. When I quit my corporate career, and I was on a very, very fast pace of promotions at that time, that was certainly outside of my comfort zone. It turned out to be a reasonably ill-conceived real estate venture. Out of that was born the property tax business, which wasn't so ill-conceived. We made a lot of money in that business. But when I quit a corporate job, a paycheck, moved to a very, very tiny house compared to the lifestyle we had, those were tough decisions far outside. And so why do some people in those circumstances, and this is a discussion I had with my mentor yesterday, why do some people push forward and some not? And I think when you boil it all down and why do some people succeed and not, you can look at they didn't take enough action, they didn't do the things that they needed to do, they had distractions, whatever it is. But I think it really boils down to one thing. They wanted it more. We're about ready to go into the Super Bowl, and if you've looked at American football in the States, watching the Super Bowl and watching particularly the last 2 minutes of a Super Bowl, you will see oftentimes some incredible things happen. And most of the time, it's that the quarterback or the team or the receivers just wanted it more. Had the will to push forward when others did not. And oftentimes are successful in that. Had a mentee recently that has built a fantastic board. He's got a celebrity on the board, which helps. He has got excellent representation with law firms and accounting firms, and he's got both those on 100% discount, 0% premium. First time I've had that happen. I've had 100% discounts and a small premium, but no premium. That's primarily because interest rates are up, PE activity is down, and so they're looking for business. But he said to me, and we've increased the profit of his current business, more than doubled it in the last year, so that's successful, obviously. But he hasn't been proceeding as much with the further acquisitions going forward. And he gets sucked into the current business. So he said, I'm not sure why that is exactly. I know that I get sucked into the business and that's a distraction. But I also have, kind of person sitting on my shoulder, in this case his mother, who said, take it easy, don't take chances. And some of that still, that imprinting from when you were a kid is still there for a lot of people. So he ended up having that discussion with me, and I said, just take a second to, let's have that person on your shoulder be quiet for a second. Would you have thought, a year and a half ago, I guess it is now, that you would have built the board that you built? No way, Bruce, no way. Would you have thought that you would have ever gotten top flight accounting and legal on 100% discount and no premium? No, wouldn't have thought that. Would you have thought that you would have doubled the profitability of your business with no added employees? No, wouldn't have thought that either. Okay, so let's let that person on your shoulder take a little break from talking to you, and let's think about those things you did accomplish. And most of the time, when doubts creep in, when you're worried about what might happen, which is normal, end up replacing that thought with a more positive thought. As Napoleon Hill said, weeds in the garden. You got to pull the weed out, throw it away, plant something else there. And so we decided in his case, okay, let's set some office hours and let's work them. 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours a day, where the business acquisition, is what you do. You don't do anything else. You tell your staff you're in a meeting with yourself, and you do the right things. In terms of, in his case, cold calling, just do 5. Don't worry about doing 100. Don't worry about doing 1,000. Just worry about doing 5 and get into the habit of that for a few days, then increase it and move forward. So understand that comfort zones are just that. They're based on the life you've lived, the experiences you've had. And almost every time you push beyond your current status, you will be outside your comfort zone. Think about what you do want. Think about what you don't want. And make sure that what you do want outweighs what you don't want. Winners think about what they can accomplish. Losers think about what they're afraid might happen. So I'd encourage you to take that to heart. Remember that those that succeed usually want it more. Use your affirmations. Use your Ivy Lee method of planning your activities to work on the things that are most important to getting things done. And if you do that, keep your mind on what you want, off what you don't want, take action, stay focused, you will, in large part, do much better than those that don't. Understand, a lot of this is scary. You're not alone when you go through that. But just because you're afraid doesn't mean you don't do it. If you ever gave a public talk, and particularly back in school, I remember the first one I gave in grammar school. I mean, I thought about that for a month ahead. I probably was a 5-minute talk. Well, what if this happens and what if that happens? Well, 95% of the time, none of what you worry about is going to happen. But usually the experience is far easier than the anticipation of the things that could go wrong in that process. So remember that as well. Think back on the things you were afraid of. Think back on the way that you overcame those. And after a while, those things become second nature and don't scare you the way they did in the beginning. So I think that helps. I hope it does. Birthday, 71 years old. How the heck did that happen? But in any event, if you are looking how to start, the acquisition advantage is important to understand the steps And there's a free course on getting started, conversation starters, over on brucewhipple.com. If you want to go there directly, just brucewhipple.com/get class. But I hope you watch this again, take some notes, and put that into action, and understand that you will have to make hard decisions. They will get easier in time, and your comfort zone will expand.